Hey there friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Dominique from the Pixie Planner, and in today's video I'm going to be introducing you to the brand new 2020 Mäksēlife Planner. So I am continuing my video series of introducing you to some planners that may be brand new to the scene or ones that you maybe have not heard of, but you absolutely want to be keeping your eyes on for 2020. The Mäksēlife Planner was created by Sierra, who can be found at Planner Friend on Instagram. She has been a part of the planner community for a very long time and has actually worked on many design teams and PR teams. She has had a tremendous impact on her particular take on goal setting and has really inspired a lot of individuals, including myself, to incorporate their goals a little bit differently into their planning routine. So that way it's not put on the back burner, which can happen so often because a lot of the times we tend to keep our goals separate from our planners, and we look at our planners every day, or at least most days, but when it comes to goal setting, we tend to look at that more monthly, quarterly, yearly, and so sometimes it can be forgotten about. So with the new Mäksēlife Planner, Sierra has created a 2-in-1 goal setting and weekly planner. So everything is right here within your grasp and always at the front. So none of it is being left behind or forgotten. And one of my personal favorite things about the Mäksēlife Planner is that the goal setting system is detailed, but not overly so. I did not feel overwhelmed when reading through and doing some of the assessment part, and I know that can be a big problem for a lot of us out there. I, for myself, have tried the power sheets, and even though I really enjoyed the process, I found that I got too stuck up into overcomplicating things, overanalyzing, and I felt that because it is a longer process in the beginning regarding all of the prep work, I lost that momentum. So with this system, I feel that it has that perfect balance of digging deep, but also just getting started. I also wanted to note that Sierra, besides being such a huge impact in the planner community, has been a dual certified life coach for the past 14 years and has used this very system with her own clients for a very long time. Over the years, she has morphed it into what it is that you will see today. Now, before we dive further into the planner, I just want to say that I will be leaving all of the links down below in the description to everything I mention in this video, and that will include Sierra's Instagram account as well as a link to the website where you can purchase this planner. The link is an affiliate link, so if you choose to order through it, I do get a small commission. And if you do so, I want to thank you in advance. I truly appreciate your support. So let's first start with giving you some information on pricing and the launch date of the planner. So the Mäksēlife Planner is going to be launching on Black Friday. Now, with the launch, there are going to be some promotions going on. One of the promotions that I will share with you is for a planner bundle that will be the planner and these bookmarks. Now, let me give you a little bit of a closer look here. You might be able to tell, hopefully. The bookmarks here have a slight ombre effect, just to give a little bit more detail to visualizing the sections that you can mark off in the planner. So there's my vision, monthly goals, and this week. The My Vision bookmark is going to be a great spot for you to mark off your yearly goal section or your vision board. The monthly goals, you will have a spread so that way you can write out monthly goals that you're working on as well as weekly goals, or just marking off the week that you're actually currently working in. So this is going to be a great addition. That way nothing is forgotten about. There's so many times where I'm working in my goal planner and I put so much work into certain sections, but because I don't have them tabbed off, I forget about them. And I love that she has these 3 bookmarks for you to mark those 3 most important sections. That way they're always on your mind. So that is going to be one of the planner bundles going on during the promotion. And now for the price of the planner itself, it is priced at $68, which does sound like a lot, but when you think about what you're getting, I think it's very reasonably priced. You have your goal setting system and your planner in one. So there's no more separate systems, it's all combined. And especially for those of you that have maybe tried Power Sheets and either were overwhelmed with all the prep work, or if you're like me, you would do everything and spend all the time digging deep and then put it off to the side on your table and then forget it was there, because I focus really on my weekly goals and monthly goals after I've set things up, and those I keep in my planner typically. So I'm definitely one of those people where Power Sheets, because it was a separate system, unfortunately did not work very well for me. So I am very, very interested to see how this is going to work out. And I think this is going to be a perfect system that if anyone else was struggling with that same thing, this could be it for you. Now, lastly, I want to mention that there is also going to be a $5 flat rate shipping with your planner purchase. So that means if you want to purchase 10 planners, it ships for $5. This is going to be the time where you want to go ahead and purchase that gift or get your family member set up with, their own planner, or your significant other, because no matter how many you purchase, it is a flat $5 rate, which is just a stellar deal. Okay, so now diving into the planner itself. Now I have taken it out of this gorgeous box that it came inside, and so you will receive this box with your own planner, and I think that is just a wonderful touch because it will protect your planner once the year is over. And what I plan on doing is anything that I collect for memorabilia during the year, so say my husband and I go on a trip or we go to concerts, all those loose papers that you can collect from memories that you want to keep on hand, I'm going to throw mine right in here. So it is right there with my planner, and it's just a gorgeous pale light gray blue stripe pattern, and then it looks like copper. Yep, it's a copper embossed foiling here on the front. So a wonderful sturdy box that is going to come with your planner. Now putting that off to the side, the planner itself is 7 by 9 with matte copper O-ring, and I think this matte color is just absolutely perfect with that matte texture of the cover. The cover does have a little bit of actual texture to it, and with it being matte, I think it's gonna hold up incredibly well to being like thrown in your purse. If there's any scratches, you'll hardly notice it. I feel like it's much more noticeable on the covers that have shine to them. Once you get that glare, you can really see what's happening on the cover. But I love that this is a matte texture, kind of disguising any imperfections. And then one of my favorite things is the elastic closure that comes with it. It is attached with these copper eyelets on the back and is a very, very snug fit. So that way, if you're tossing it in and out of your bag, you don't have to worry about it falling open or your papers getting bent. So this is one of my absolute favorite things, just keeping it nicely protected. You'll also notice that the corners here are rounded and they do not have the metal corner protectors. Now, I am absolutely okay with not having those corner protectors. I feel like with it being rounded, that provides already a little bit more protection, because if it was pointed, I feel like it would really catch on things, probably get bent very easily at the ends. So that rounded design, it seems like it's already going to be giving it some protection, and it's such a sturdy, hard cover. Like this, there's no give whatsoever as I'm kind of bending at the ends there. So the back here has the Mäksēlife logo, and that is also in the copper foiling. Just overall, the design and coloring is just very pleasing to the eye. I'm a neutral girl at heart, so even though the yellow is typically a brighter color, I love that it's toned down. And with the matte texture, again, it just works so perfectly with the copper and the gray. The other cover option is the same design, but it's in a very pale blue, which is another stunning color combination. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump right into the planner. There is definitely a lot that I want to cover, and I'm gonna try to, crunch it in as best as I can so it's not too long of a video. But right off here, you have your name page, and I love that it's, again, nice and neutral tone. So the box that I had showed you had that light blue-gray kind of pinstripe design, and you have that same detail throughout the planner itself. And you can see here on the inside cover and then on the edges of the paper. Now, the paper quality is just stellar. It feels so incredibly thick. It feels thick like ERIN CONDREN, but it's smooth. It doesn't have that little bit of texture that the ERIN CONDREN Life Planner has. And this is bright white paper, and it's at 120 GSM. So I also did a pen test in the back that I will be showing you. It is just amazing paper. So in the front here, you have a place to put your name, and then right above it, I love this touch. She's written here, the power in these pages belongs to, then you have your name, phone number, email. And what a way to get started in here is to start off putting your name and just reading that aloud. I think is such an empowering feel for when you're diving into this. So turning the page, you have a note from Sierra, and in this area she gives a little bit more detail on herself, and then also she explains how she got the name Moxie. So Moxie is a noun, and it's force of character, determination, or nerve. And I really love this paragraph here, so I'll read this real quick. To have Moxie is to be bold and determined. You approach life with gumption and spirit. You are unstoppable, full of vigor, resilience, fortitude, and courage. You will not let a setback stop you from trying again. You cannot be deterred. You know where you want to go and have what it takes to get there. Mäksēlife was created from this ideology. So just strong, empowering, motivating. I love everything about this page here. Now, this first tab is the goal setting pages that you're going to be starting with. And here you have a getting started section that Sierra's put together and a little explanation of what you can expect to find within your weekly and daily features. So you have notes and reflections, which is going to be your free space. You kind of make it your own. You have weekly tips, and I think this is wonderful because Sierra has given some amazing tips to help you along your path to using this goal setting system and to keep you motivated. You also have gratitude, which is a red heart you will see in your weekly planning pages, and it's at each day of the week. And that's going to be your section to write something you are grateful for, so that we have the reminder to always practice gratitude. Finally, you have habit tracking, which is also featured in the weekly pages. And this is just going to help you along your daily tasks to reach your goals. On the right-hand side here, she's given you the steps to the system. So step 1 is going to be the compass assessment. Step 2, setting intentions. 3, annual goals and vision. 4, monthly goals and weekly actions. 5, monthly reflections and quarterly review. So let's go through each of these steps together. We're going to start with step 1, the compass assessment. Now, I have completed this already, so this way you can have a visual of how it's going to be looking when you do it yourself. And we'll turn the page here, and this is your compass assessment here. As you can see on the right-hand side, we have the life compass. She has a little example down here and walks you through the steps. So on the left here, we have step 1. On the following pages, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for how well each statement applies to you. So this is referring to the next 2 pages here. The assessment scoring. You have 8 categories, and the categories are personal, fun and recreation, work and learning, family relationships, health and wellness, spiritual and personal growth, financial and physical environment. So what you're doing is you're going through each of these categories and reading each statement and rating that statement on a scale of 1 to 10. With how strongly that applies to you. So for example, 1 would be does not apply, 10 would be strongly applies. So step 2, in each area of life, add up your ratings and divide that number by 8 to arrive at an average score. So we're dividing by 8 because there are 8 sections. And what I did here is after I did my scoring, I totaled it up. So that's that larger number that you'll see. And then I went ahead and I divided it by 8, which is the circled number. Now, some of these, when you divide them, you're going to get an uneven number. So what I've actually done, instead of rounding up, I actually rounded down because I would rather rate myself a little bit lower on the score than higher. I want to give myself every opportunity to really make improvements in every single area. So I am fine with having that number be a little lower than it might probably be. So after I divided all of those up, I came over here to the life compass, and it's a little hard to tell, but I took a gray colored pencil and I just colored in the pie. And that comes from that example that she gave down here. It shows that you're coloring the sections. So if I rated an 8 for personal, I colored all the way into 8. And then I circled 9 because that is what I want to strive for by the end of the year. So step 3 here is what we were just kind of going over. Fill in the sections on the life compass that correspond with your score. Each area will have different parts of the pie shaded in that coincide with the rating you've given to that area of life, and reference the example right over here. So I looked at each of these numbers, shaded it in, and I'll kind of tell you here some of the areas that are a little bit lower for me. So fun and recreational, I had a 6. By the end of the year, I want to be at an 8. I also had health and wellness low, which was at a 5. By the end of the year, I want to be an 8. Diet is my big one. I have a massive sweet tooth and love carbohydrates. And it's more so I'm not looking to lose weight or, look a certain way. I just want to improve my overall diet for my health. And then as far as physical environment, I scored a 6, and by the end of the year, I want to be an 8. There's a lot of decluttering that I want to do in certain areas of my home. So that is why it's a little bit lower, because I've just been putting these on the back burner and I really need to start taking care of my home. So that right there is the life compass. This is your first step in the goal setting process. So step 2 is setting intentions. Let's go ahead and flip to that. here is where you have your intentions. Now, as you can tell, I have not filled it out. I only went as far as to do the life compass. But with the intentions, you are asking yourself, what could I use more of in my life this year? What could I use less of in my life this year? What characteristics would I like to nurture in 2020? 3 habits I want to cultivate this year are, this year I will be more, I will do less, I will give myself grace for, I will let go of, I will embrace. Now you'll find a lot of these questions very similar in other planners that have like the reflection pages, or for example in goal setting systems such as the Power Sheets. But the Power Sheets has many more pages than this, and what I really like is I'm still diving deep, I am still setting my intentions, but in a more condensed version compared to the Power Sheets. Then at the bottom here, you have your word for 2020. And then it says what my word means to me. So great, to the point, set those intentions and get the ball rolling to the next step, which is setting goals. So flipping back to the steps here, you have annual goals and vision as step 3. And Sierra really walks you through and makes things so easy to understand and gives you examples, like for example here, being specific with your goals. Instead of saying get rid of clutter or don't be on my phone before bed, she has clean my garage this weekend. It's more specific, okay? What clutter, where? Leave my phone in the kitchen at night instead of, okay, just don't be on my phone before bed. When we tell ourselves don't and not to do things, we can sometimes rebel against ourselves. So if we word it a little bit more kindly, this is something that can really make the difference. And she really shows here those examples of that. And so writing your goals, you've got a nice example here. She gives you tips and really guides you very, very well on how you can create goals of your own that are going to be meaningful, intentional, and also reasonable for the new year to come. So on the next page, you have a section of committing to goals. Carefully consider each of the following before you commit to a goal, which is wonderful. You've got questions to ask yourself. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to have a blank piece of paper. I am going to write out all of my goals that I have on mind for 2020. And then I'm going to come back here and I am going to go through each of those goals and ask myself these questions so I'm able to better narrow down, because I am very indecisive and there's so much that I want to do, but I also get overwhelmed very easily. So this is going to be wonderful to have for everyone, but especially for those of you who have so much on your mind that you want to accomplish and do, but have trouble narrowing things down. So you have that committing to goals, reviewing goals, removing goals. And one thing that Sierra has talked about is don't be afraid to remove a goal if it's just not working. Don't beat yourself up. Don't fret about it. Goals change because life changes. It's something that you could go back to at another day. And so we really need to learn that it is okay if something doesn't work out, just remove it. Then she comes here into annual goals, which is going to be your long-term vision. She has steps for you to follow when it comes to creating those annual goals. She also has steps for committing to, or creating, I should say, monthly goals and creating weekly actions. So a lot of the times it can be very hard for us to break our goals down into bite-sized chunks, and it can be overwhelming to know where to start. It took me a very, very long time on figuring out how and where to start. So she gives you those steps on breaking it down. You go from your annual goals, breaking it down into your monthly, and then from monthly, of course, you need to know how to break it down to each week. Again, those bite-sized pieces. And then here she walks you through how to create those weekly actions. So flipping to the next page, you have your area to write out your annual goals. And you have those same sections that you had on the life compass here. And so this is going to be still in step 3. We're working on our annual goals and vision. This is where we are writing out those goals. Now you can have 1 goal for each section if you want, or you could have 5. Really, it's you do you. What works for you, works for you. This is going to be very subjective and very different for each person. So just kind of do that brain dump like I had mentioned. Write everything out on a piece of paper. Ask yourself those questions to make sure that you really want to commit to it. And then just write them in the sections. If you don't get to all of them, that's okay. You at least have started that first step and have become intentional with striving for those particular goals. So after your sections here for each of the 8 areas, you then go into your vision board. And I have only done a vision board once before, and I had a great time in the process, but because I didn't tab it or have a bookmark for it, I always forgot to look back at it. So this is where having the bookmark and the My Vision bookmark specifically is going to be so incredibly handy, and I feel like I'm actually going to get something out of my vision board because I'm going to have that reminder. It's easy to just add your own tab, but for whatever reason I would do that and then the tab would fall off because I do prefer the repositional ones. It would fall off, it would slide down, something would always happen. So these bookmarks are going to be fantastic. This one, as I mentioned, the My Vision can be for your vision board, or you could place it in the annual goal section. So you can always refer back to that and not forget about all those amazing goals that you took the time to create for 2020. So then after the vision board, we go into some quick tips for the goal setting that she also provides here. And I'm not going to read through all of them, but Sierra does an amazing job to make this whole process just easy and smooth for you. It's not that overwhelming because she guides you through every step of it. And because it is so quick with the prep work, I mean, this section here, this goal setting section, is all the prep work that you're gonna need to do. So this would probably take you about 15 to 20 minutes. Now the power sheets, it would take me days. And then I would forget what I did the day before. I'd refer back to it. And then I would start second guessing myself with some of the answers I wrote down. So with me being someone who thinks too much, and a lot of us out there do, this is perfect. It is to the point, it is deep, it is intentional. So after these goal setting pages, you go straight into your monthly calendar. And this is a very, very sturdy laminated tab. The dashboard, if you want to call it that, feels maybe a tiny bit thicker than the paper itself. It's a little hard to tell, but the laminated tab here is incredibly sturdy. And the best part to me is it turns directly to your month. You have ample space here. There is really no wasted space in my opinion. You have just a wonderful quote at the top, just keeping that motivation going, and the boxes themselves have a fantastic amount of space. And also you can see here that pinstripe design does continue throughout. You have your note section on the right hand side, and following the month, you go into your monthly goals. So each month is going to have this same pattern. You're going to have your monthly layout, turn to your monthly goals. This is where we can grab our other bookmark those monthly goals. This is where you're taking those annual goals and breaking them down into smaller chunks. Again, pick however many goals you want for each section. It can be 1, it can be 7. You do you. Figure out what works best for you and just go with it. After the monthly goals, we have a notes and reflections page followed by weekly actions. Now, I really like this page here because this is something where I would do mind mapping. So the passion planner that I've used for many years goes off of creating mind maps, and it works incredibly well for my brain when I am trying to break things down into those smaller chunks. So when it comes to my weekly actions, that's what I'm going to be doing here in the notes and reflections, is taking those ideas that I have and breaking it down into smaller pieces and creating a mind map for it. I'm then going to come over here and write out what my weekly actions are going to be. So the colors go along with each of those same sections. So it's not written out here, personal, fun, recreation, but it's the same color combination. And so writing out what it is that you want to work on in your weekly actions. Then it goes directly into your weekly spread. Now, as you can see, I have the horizontal layout. I am so excited about using a horizontal this next year. And it alternates, as you can also see here, between the light, very light pinstripe design, then you have blank, the pinstripe. So it's nice because it breaks up those days and it's not just, more of a solid look, because these lines here are very faint. It can run together if this wasn't broken up. So I do appreciate that you have some sectioning off of your days. Now, if you remember me mentioning in the beginning, there's a red heart on each of the days, and this is where you are going to be placing your gratitude for the day. And I love that she has the red heart as that reminder for us to always focus on gratitude. We have down here the habit tracker. So when you're working on your goals, you can make specific tasks or habits to work on each day to break that goal, that weekly goal down even a little bit more so. You also have a little bit of a line down the side here, separating the line section into a blank box section. And I enjoy this a lot because I like to have a section where I can have my priority of the day or focus of the day, even keeping track of my spending because I am working on budgeting. I am really going to enjoy having this box on the right hand side to be a little bit more focused with those areas. Then continuing on, you have the notes and reflections page here again. So that can be kind of any extra note space that you maybe didn't have enough of in this section, you can use on the back side. So this is your first week. It starts December 30th, and following that week, you go into the next week where you have, again, your weekly actions list, breaking down those actions that you're going to work on in the week. So continuing even further, you can see that every week for the month of January ends in that notes and reflections, starts again with the weekly actions. And let's see what we have here at the very last week of the month. Okay, so this is now where you get into your monthly reflections. So I was referring to the steps here in the beginning where we went ahead and we've completed step 4, which was the monthly goals and weekly actions. I went over those pages with you, and let's kind of there's the monthly goals and then the weekly actions going straight into your first week of January. So that was step 4. Step 5 is going to be your monthly reflections and quarterly review. So at the end of the month, here's your monthly reflections. Some of the questions you have or areas to answer are: my biggest wins this month were things that are currently working in my life, things that are currently not working in my life, what I learned this month, what improvements or adjustments do I need to make going into the next month, what am I most grateful for right now, habits I want to nurture next month. And then you go ahead and you rate your overall satisfaction for that past month. So a nice reflection sheet before you go into your next month. So there was the mention also of the quarterly review, which January, February, March. So if we go here, okay, so it's in the beginning of April here. So first quarter, you have your steps again. This is where you are going to go back to the compass and rate yourself all over again. So that way you can compare from the start how you're progressing. So the previous is what you're going to be marking down for your original scores, and then current will be for this current score. And then there at the bottom, total, you can go ahead and total out the difference. So at the very bottom here, she has overall my scores either increase, decrease, stay the same. What personal actions contributed the most to these results. 3 words to describe how I generally felt over the last 90 days. And then lastly, where is my biggest opportunity for growth? What area of life will be my main focus over the next 90 days? So not only do you have your assessment in the beginning, then your monthly goal breakdown, your annual goal breakdown, then monthly, then weekly. She also is having you check in quarterly. So there is no time to forget about your goals, and it gives you time to go ahead and change them out if you need to. You know, after 3 months, if one of the goals just isn't speaking to you anymore, cross it off the list, change it to something else, or just get rid of it entirely. But you have these quarterly check-ins to always keep you on track. Then it goes straight into April. And then you go into those same monthly and weekly actions and the weeks. So let's just kind of talk about the color combo here within the planner. So January, you have a very nice light blue. All of the colors are very, very muted. And I really appreciate that, because if I want to use stickers, I don't feel restricted. I can use colorful stickers and feel just fine with it. Not like it's fighting each other with the color of the calendar or the weekly pages. So this light blue is in January. You have this light sort of mint color for February. A very pale green for March. April is a light gray. May is a light yellow. June is a light peachy color, it looks like. Then you have July as a pale pink. And August, you have a pale purple. Then it goes into the light blue again for the remaining of the year. Now let's take a look. I'm going to pull this book out. I had a book underneath kind of propping up this side to make it more level for you to see. But let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the planner. And these pages, I mean, they turn so smoothly. It is just outstanding how smooth it is. It can be a fight sometimes with these O-rings, but with the planner here, it's fantastic. So the extra pages here go into a 2020, 2021 calendar spread, and then into your notes. And I believe I mentioned there are 13 note pages here in the back. So great extra note space besides the notes that were in between the months that I had showed you. And where is it now? Now I can't find it. There we go. So the note and reflections is in between all of the months. So you have plenty of note pages. In the very back, I did a pen test. So let's show you that real quick. The pens that I tested, Pilot G2, Inkjoy Sharpie pen, Pilot Precise, the Muji, Le Pen, Faber-Castell, the Staedtler, Micron, and Mild Liner. And guys, none of these, let me flip this and bring it a little closer, none of these bled through, ghosted, or anything. I mean, I told you this paper was just incredible. So you use whatever pen you want because they are all gonna work. And that makes me super excited because I don't have to pick and choose my favorite pen for this planner. I can use them all. And at the very, very back, you have your file folder. You've got a double side, one pocket here, and then to top it off, another folder. You have a very nice, roomy accordion folder as the very last thing in the back. So I'm thrilled about this planner, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this walkthrough. If you have any questions for me, please, as usual, leave them down below, because this, I feel like, is going to be your one-stop shop for 2020. If you are looking for not only a planner, but a goal-setting system, boom. Combined, this is just a stellar option. So leave me any questions you have down below. And again, I will leave all of the links down below and information that you will need to purchase your own Mäksēlife planner if you so choose to. Thank you guys for joining me in today's video. I appreciate all of your support so very much, and I will see you again soon in my next one. Bye.